Hello out there. We're on the air. We're about to start our midday draw of our quadruple header, coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club. It's the 2023 MoPac Arena Club Playdowns with the men's and women's fields. We have 10 teams vying for the men's championship, and we have six women's teams looking to win the women's title. Thanks to the size of our field, we are able to send two qualifiers to the nationals. So we'll send two men's teams and two women's teams. And two of the teams here on this game have a pretty good shot of advancing to the playoffs. We will see how it goes as we zoom in on sheet two. So we have Ramin Gilbert for Team Hurst holding the broom. Uh, they'll be throwing first rock as the other team, Team Berndt of Orange County Curling, won the hammer in their first stone. Looks like Berndt was doing another practice slide as he heads towards the house. It looks like they're about ready to get set here. The lead for Team Hurst is Jerry St. James. We'll go over some of their bio information. Hopefully, you guys can hear me for this broadcast. If you guys have any questions or concerns, let me know in the chats. We'll do our best to get the issues looked at and resolved. Because I went for 3.5 games without people telling me that the sound was not working, but we got that fixed. We're here, and we're about to get underway with our midday draw. This is going to be Team Hurst's last game of pool play. I think Team Berndt has two more to go. Each team will play 4 games in a pool of 5. We'll see how it goes. As they are about to get into hack, Gilbert has the broom down, looking for what appears to be a center guard. Rocks in play, and we're underway. This looks to be a little heavy. It's going to slip into the back of the house, maybe through the house. It looks like it is hanging on to the back 12. Looks like Berndt is going to ignore that for now, as you see the first stone coming from Team Berndt. This is going to be their lead, Hal Brown, who's been curling since 2019. Was the champion of the 2022 MoPac 5 and Under last year, 2 years ago. Was also the event winner at the Hotter Than Hell Spiel in 2022, runner up at the Taco Spiel in 2022, and then also the event winner, I think an event winner, I don't know which bracket they were in, for the 2023 Hotter Than Hell Bonspiel. And that turns out to be in the house as well. And it looks like Remy is going to ask Jerry to draw around that blue. Actually, it was a center guard, and it is on the center line, which is a good reminder that we are following the no tick rule here at the event, which means until the 6th stone at the end, an opponent cannot remove their opponent's center line guard off the center line. If they do move that guard off the center line, it's a violation. The moved rock is reset to where it was, and the offending stone is removed from play. And this is Hal's next shot. Was to go around that center guard. That was a nice draw there. Looks like a good draw. Looks like Gilbert wants the second for Team Hurst to follow him back. That is Gerard Trimberter. Looks like that went out of play as Berndt flips over his options. This is the second for Team Berndt. This is David Hernandez, who's been curling since 2021, but has a pretty impressive resume, including the Southern California Curling Center's Holiday Bonspiel, the Desert Ice Bonspiel at Coyotes. It was an event runner-up in 2022. Was also at the 2022 Southern California Curling Center's Last Chance 500 National Qualifier. Also curled a couple times at Hollywood curling events and a lot more. Next shot coming from Trimberter. This looks to crash on the guard there. Does open things up a bit for Hernandez's next. Sorry, I'm kind of multitasking. I'm a little distracted. I'll definitely focus on this match. So Burns, I think, draws to the house as St. James has the broom down for Gilbert. Hurst throws last rocks, by the way. Let's look at the button cam and see what's going on here. Looks like Berndt is sitting 1 and 3, while Hurst's shot in the back of the house is hanging on there. And this is the first shot coming from Ramin Gilbert, the vice for Team Hurst. Born and raised in Florida, spent most of his life thinking ice only came in cubes. This looks to be like a nose hit. Gets that blue out of the way, and now Hurst is sitting 2, as far as I can tell. It really changed the end around here, as we're now going to see the first rock coming from Team Berndt Vice. That's going to be Alan Berndt. There's two Bernts in the field. This is Alan. The skip is Austin. Alan has been curling for 8 years. I think looking to kind of trade hits. Let's see if he's on the money. Pretty close. He might get two. Does he? He gets them both. And just like that, the end is turned around for Team Berndt, going from facing two to sitting two. Looks like that the shot stone is still open, so Gilbert is going to make a play on that. All right, back off of mute. It opens things up. It looks like Burns is sitting two, perhaps. Looking at the overhead cam, that does appear to be the case. So it looks like Ramir's asking Skip David Hurst to draw around the center cover. This looks like it could be pretty good. Needs to make sure it curls around, but also needs to make sure it has the distance. So they were taking a look at it. It looks like they're going to try and push it over to finish. Needs to get it buried, and it's going to be about 40%, 60% buried. So it looks like Skip Austin Burns is going to make a play on it. Want to make sure you get the names correct. Austin has been curling for 9 years. His some accomplishments include playing as a second at the five and under for MoPac in 2015, finishing as a champion. This needs to curl over, and I think the device is calling him off as it's not going to come back. And this does give an opportunity for Hurst to close the door and possibly be set up for a steal. So David Hurst gets set, throwing fourth rocks and skipping. He started curling after trying to sign up for bobsledding with the Utah Olympic Legacy Foundation, but they were sold out for the rest of the season. I don't know if he ever made it to the bobsled track. So looking for a guard. Don't want to be in a situation to set up a double here. It looks pretty good. I think the double is possibly there, especially if they were to take it on. The Bernds do have the broom set in position for the double. If they take it on and make the shot, they could definitely get the two, maybe three. So Austin Berndt makes his way down the ice and set up for the double here. A chance for two, maybe more. Definitely need to make sure you have the line dialed in and don't want to jam. That's going to be a very critical element. Shots away. Looks like they're trying to coach it over. Gets one, gets two. Are they going to get far enough out? And it looks really close. Oh my goodness. So it looks like the blue at the top right from our view here is the shot. And then the second stone is between yellow and blue. They kick to the rocks. So we'll see what they say. And we'll be back in just a moment when we return to the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club. Welcome back to the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns. As we take a look around the rings, just to update you on the draw six here. We have all five sheets in action. Starting with sheet one on the right, we have Team Barbary from Wine Country taking on Team Suarez from San Diego. No score posted yet. I think, they're about halfway through the first end, or they're coming home. They haven't posted the score yet. Barbary opened with a hammer. On sheet two, it's our feature game between Team Berndt from Orange County and Team Hurst from the Oval. Sheet three features Team Feldman from Wine Country Curling and Team Leichter from Orange County. Looks like Feldman stole two in the first. Sheet four features Team Waddington from Orange County with the Red Rocks taking on Team Clapham from San Diego with the yellow. It looks like Clapham scored a single in the first with a hammer. That means Waddington has a hammer in the second. And on sheet five, a women's game between Team Assis from Silicon Valley taking on Team Malia from Wine Country. Malia started with a hammer and scored a deuce to open up the scoring. So again, all these games are being tracked on bondspieler.com. You can keep track of all the games in progress. So let's take a look at the feature sheets. Get you caught up on what's been happening. Lots of rocks in play. Looks like Hurst has three in the rings, and Berndt has a center guard. So I think Berndt is trying to look to see what to do to make a play on the yellows or to draw around. Ultimately, he's asked second Hernandez to draw around. And this looks to be a little upway, so I think they're going to try and hit and roll. It's on the outside, though, or pretty close to the nose. So it does jam on the yellow that's in the back. So it looks like Gilbert's asked for a hit of his own, I believe. Could be a draw. This is Gerard Trimberger. I think he kind of pushed it back towards the middle with his release. But it might be making a play towards the back of the house. This looks pretty good. I think they wanted to go maybe a little bit deeper, but that does curl around. So kind of a question of how Burns is going to respond as he puts the broom down for the other Burnt, pardon me. So Allen shots away. That's going to settle in. So they try to draw around there. I think it does set up a possible hit for Gilbert's first. So this is the second end. So Gilbert's about to make a shot. I think looking to hit a nose hit would be fine. Maybe a little roll towards the left side of the house. Looks like he's going to hit and roll. Pretty good outcome. I think that yellow now is open and it sets up a possible hit and roll for Team Berndt. This is Alan Berndt's second shot here. Looking, I think, for a draw, like a heavy T weight to tap that yellow back and have the red stay pretty close. Sorry, have the blue stay close to the button. Sweepers are really trying to carry it. It looks pretty good. And that is super close to a corner freeze. There's still a little bit of area, some space for Gilbert to work with as St. James has the broom down. So St. James has the broom down for Gilbert. Remains shots away. Seems to be on the top yellow. It's going to open it up, and the shooter's going to roll out of play. So a little bit of a miss. It gives Berndt a chance to kind of muck things up and make it harder for Hurst to get into the house. So the Bernts are looking at their possibilities. I think they are looking to maybe freezing on top of the blue that's already in the house, and that way Hurst can't get rid of both of the shots. Pretty interesting setup here as Austin Berndt gets set up in the hat for his shots. Looking for the freeze, and they're set up for about 2.5 feet of curl, which is fairly consistent with what we've been seeing this weekend. It's supposed to be a little heavy. Sweepers are on it, I think, trying to coax it over. It does crash on the top blue there. Shooter rolls to the wing. And so that blue is open for Team Hurst to try and take another crack at it. And I think they maybe want to try and curl past the face of it. Um, just definitely make sure it doesn't jam on that yellow in behind it. So David Hurst has 2 years of experience curling, has traveled all over the region MoPac for several bonspiels in that time. He enjoys sweeping, experiencing new bonspiels, and playing with curlers from clubs all over. This is a crucial shot for David Hurst. Looks like it needs to move over. Sweepers were on it briefly. Now they're, I think, trying to coach it over a little bit more. Hmm. So it does hit the blue. The blue jams on the yellow and rolls over slightly towards the button. Blue is shots with yellow in a position though. Blue's in a position to really maybe chip out that blue for a last shot, and I think Berndt wants to take that away from Hurst. So again, looking for another draw freeze. Um, I think they really wanted to turn up the screws. They could have maybe drawn to through the ports to the right and put another shot stone in. But they're looking, I think, to just kind of close the door and prevent Hurst from making a play on that yellow on the left from this view. And the shot's underway. I think based on the weight, maybe they're going to try and chip it out. Ooh, this is maybe not what they were looking for. Actually, it looks pretty good. And actually, it could end up being a second shot. Not quite. So now, what does Hurst do? I don't think they can get. I think they could get both blues moving, but he's going to need a lot of weight. They're kind of looking at running the blue. If they hit it at the right angle, it might be enough to get the blue, well, the yellow onto the blue, but it'd be almost like a glancing shot. It'd be very tricky for them to get both moving. I don't think it's impossible. So they're kind of talking over the different angles. Uh, Hurst, Ramin, Gilbert, and Jerry St. James. I would probably rank the difficulty of this shot at like a 8 or 9 out of 10. So discussion over. It's still relatively early in the game. There's no score posted, although I think Berndt scored at least one in the first end. Needs to hit it with enough weight on the right line. A very crucial shot coming now from David Hurst. Last shot of the second end. Looks to be really close. It's going to get one of the blues out, but the other blue jammed on the yellow and rolled towards the button. So it's going to be a steal of one. It was a good effort, but unfortunately, if we're not for Team Hurst, we'll be back in just a moment when we return to our 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns. welcome back to the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns, coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club in Oakland. Doing a quick look around the rings on sheet one on the right. It's a pretty congested house, but it's all red for Team Barbary of Wine Country Curling. They took two in the first with a hammer to go up 2-0 over Team Suarez of San Diego. And then now Barbary is sitting four in a really good position to steal. Sheet two is our feature sheets. Berndt scored a single in the first and then stole a single in the second to be up 2-0 over Team Hurst from the Oval. Sheet three is a women's game between Team Feldman of Wine Country taking on Team Leichter from Orange County. It's been all Feldman so far, starting with a steal of two in the first, followed with a steal of four in the second. They are currently up they're currently up 6-0 Feldman over Leichter. Sheet four is a men's game. We have Team Waddington of Orange County facing Team Clapham for San Diego. Clapham was forced to a single with a hammer in the first. And they're, I think, throwing home here in the second. And it looks pretty favorable for Clapham again. We'll keep you updated on that. And then sheets five is a women's game between Team Assis of Silicon Valley and Team Malia from Wine Country. Malia is with the Yellow Rocks, and they scored a deuce with a hammer in the first. And it looks like they're about to get underway with the third end here. Shifting back to our feature game. We have one burnt stone in play. We call them burnt stones, but they're not burned stones. I think that could be a little confusing. And this shot is coming from Mr. Hernandez of Team Berndt, the second. This looks to be shaping up to be a guard. Currently not guarding anything. So it looks like Gilbert wants to do a bit of a hit and roll action, asking his second Gerard Trimberger to deliver the goods, as it were. Taking a moment to get reset. A little bit of a fishtail there. Oh, this is wide. And it's going to go through the house, making contact with nothing. So I think Hernandez is going to throw another guard, hopefully with a little more ice or a little less curl to end up in front of the blue stone that's in the house. This looks a lot better. It's a little heavier, so it might actually tap the blue closer to the center of the house. The free guard zone rule is over after the fifth rock at the end, so now Hurst can make a play on those stones, and that is what he's asking Gerard to do. Hoping to stay online this time. Here's the delivery. Looks like good rotation. I think he may have pushed it towards the center on his release, but it's going to be enough to get the one blue, and the yellow's going to roll towards the center line. So it looks like Alan Berndt is being asked to draw around. I don't think they're going to make a play on that Yellowstone. Looking for some good rotation here. The curl is necessary on any ice because if you don't have any handle at all, the stone is going to follow whatever path is in the ice. This is looks like some pretty good rotation. It's going to be enough to get the stone onto the blue. Taps them both back. The double is there. Of course, the past couple days I've been saying there's doubles everywhere, but the double is well and truly there. You can hit it from a couple different ways and get both of those blues moving. And then hopefully it'd be able to help uh, Hurst set up a multiple point end. Although it's still very close, Berndt is up just at two in the third end. There's lots of time in the eight total possible ends that we might play in regulation. Here's a shot coming from Ramin. It's hanging out. I think it needs like maybe just a little bit more curl as Trimberger tries to push it over. I did so the blue, but it jams onto the blue in the back. Does kind of rearrange things a little bit. However, Hurst is still sitting two. So it looks like Austin's asking Allen to do a very similar shot to Allen's last. This one looks to be maybe a little heavier than the last one. My eyes could be tricking me, but the sweepers barely touched it, and it is going to settle around the tee line. So the weight was pretty good. It was not heavy like I initially thought. So it's a very similar shot. So Ramin and Jerry don't waste a lot of time getting the shot set up. Brooms down for Gilbert's next. Sweeper's just walking it down. I think it looks pretty good. I think it maybe needs to curl just a little bit. So a fairly good outcome. The blue does jam again on the other blue. Just one of the blues out of the house, but the other blue just kind of rolled to the back 8 foot. Yellow is now sitting just one. And actually, with the overhead cam view, it's good to see that the other blue that was looked to be in the back of the house is actually out of the house. So it looks like Berndt is going to make a play on that yellow. Again, make it hard for Hurst to score multiple points in this end. If the shooter sticks around, that's fine. If the shooter goes away, that's also fine. This looks pretty good. Ooh, it's kind of hanging out. Oh, they were drawing around. That fooled me. Actually, it's around the yellow. Look at that. A really good draw there by Austin Berndt. It's behind the yellow rock, so it's possible for Hurst to run the yellow onto the blue. Uh, I say this a lot. The double might be there. There's a possible double, but I think it would be very tricky to do. Not saying it's impossible, but difficult. And also, Hurst, I think, is definitely looking to get on the board this end. So I think just looking for about hack weight, which is enough weight to get the stone to those starter blocks behind the house. Here is David Hurst's first. So it's going to make an impact on the yellow. Uh, the yellow is actually going to be squirted out to the side of the house while the shooter rolls to the top right from this view. So it opens things up, but it does appear that Hurst is still sitting two, and it definitely makes it, I think, harder for Hurst to try and get two out of this end. So I think looking for a shot very similar to Austin Burns' first, just a draw to a guard or to top of the house. Don't want it to be deep. I would say heavy as the miss. No, light's the miss. Light's the miss. It's definitely going to be a guard. Want to make sure it ends up in the right place. So they're trying to coax it over, and it's coming over a little bit. I would say pretty close to mission accomplished. That stone is about that's only a sliver buried, but it might be easier to try and throw a draw to the button on the bottom side, the left side from this view, and that's actually kind of where they slew the broom. So Gilbert has the broom down, looking for about 3.5 feet of curl. They need a solid, yeah, they need a solid 3+ amount of curl, 3+ feet of curl. So again, a crucial draw coming from David Hurst here, the last rock of the third end. This is pretty close. I think they're trying to get the curl that they wanted. It needs about another foot actually, and it's coming up a little heavy. Is it going to sit down in time? No, it's not. Is it going to prevent Berndt from stealing two? And it does stop in time for that. So Berndt does steal another one to make it 3-0 Berndt over Hurst. We'll be right back in just a moment when we return to the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club. Welcome back to the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns. This is your host, Ryan. Happy to be here today. Going around the reins before we return to our feature game. Sheet 1 on the right has a lot of rocks in play. It's pretty messy, but it looks to be Team Barbary with the red rock sitting shots, and they are holding on to a 6-0 lead over Team Suarez here in the third end. Suarez has hammer. Sheet 2 is our feature game featuring Team Berndt versus Hurst. It's been all singles, and it's been all Berndt through this point through end. Berndt with the blue rocks is up 3-0 over Hurst. Sheet 3 is a women's game between Team Feldman and Team Leichter from Orange County. Looks like Team Leichter got on the board with a deuce in the third. They're still down 6-2 against Team Feldman, playing with the red rocks. Sheet 4. I don't know if they blinked an end or not, but it's a matchup between Team Waddington of Orange County with the Red Rocks taking on Team Clapham from San Diego with the yellow. Clapham scored a single in the first end, and that seems to be all the scoring that's posted so far. Sheet 5 is a contest between Team Assis of Silicon Valley and Team Malia from Wine Country with the yellow stones. Assis was down 2-0 after one end, but they answered with a 5 spot in the second. They're currently up 5-2 over Team Malia. And we'll keep you guys updated on the action as we continue to cover this draw and the other games throughout the weekend. So it looks like they're going for a hit here. They want to stick around, and they will. They will roll open towards the top. It'd be on the left side of the house from the head-on view. So it looks like Berndt is asking for a hit and roll. Hernandez delivers the shot, and it's going to hit on the outside of the stone, not the inside. And the shooter is going to roll out of play. It does accomplish the job of kicking out one of the Hurst rocks. Net struck coming down from Gerard Trimberger. I think looking to split the rings. The weight looks to be a little up. I think it's possible it could wreck on that center guard. Nope, it's going to miss the center guard, but it needs to sit down. It's just a smidge heavy, and it will be going out of play. So just a missed opportunity there for Hurst. And now Berndt is going to make a play on that lonely Hurst Stone sitting shot in the back 4 foot there. Hernandez's rock is away. Looking for a takeout. I think a little roll undercover would be the cherry on top. It's not going to get there. It's going to hit on the outside. Pretty close to a nose hit though, so the blue is going to roll to the wing, but stick around for shot. And so now uh, I think Ramin can hit and roll and stick around behind cover to try and generate that second point and try and get back into this game. Looking for hit and roll. I think about halfway would do it. Trying to coax it over. Needs a little bit, needs the 3 or 4 more inches, 2 more inches. It's pretty close to being really good. I will stick around in the back of the house, and I think it would motivate Berndt to make a play on it. He's opting to actually draw around his own guard on the center line. Again, looking for about 2.5 to 3 feet of curl. Weight looks to be I say a little bit up, but I think it might be just slightly heavy T. Sweepers are not laying their broom on it. Now Hernandez jumps on it, and then Brown. Looks like it's really slowed down a bunch. Oh, goodness. So now Hurst can use those two guards that Berndt put in place, put up a second stone in the house, and then really just set up for two or maybe more. This is their chance to really go to town and hopefully set up a multiple point end. And yeah, they don't waste a lot of time deciding to do the draw. Gilbert gets set in the hack. Okay, so I don't think they're going to draw around the corner guards. They're splitting the rings a different way. I'm not sure I agree with that shot. Let's switch so you can see it. They're going to be about full 12 foot in the top right, left from the side view of the house. and now it sets up a hit and roll for Berndt. That's why I didn't quite see that shot, or at least I didn't see that as being the best possible shot. So this is Allen and Bernst's next stone. Upweight as is necessary to get the rock to hit and roll. Looks like it's going to hit. Is it going to roll? It will roll to the outside. So it does give Hurst another chance to put another stone in the house. And there's cover. There's a corner dart now, and then there is a couple center darts. So this is an interesting situation. Conventional curling wisdom is that if you don't have the hammer, you want to control the front and the center of the house. And so Team Berndt has controlled the front, and they're controlling a lot of the center, but the center of the house is still pretty open. But it appears that Team Hurst is kind of ignoring the center for now, which is not bad curling wisdom. If you don't have the, if you have the hammer, if you have the hammer, you want to try multiple points, and so you want to try and draw play to the wings, so then you can make a draw on your last, and that could be what they're setting up here. It could be brilliant, or brill as some people call it. So again, drawing to the wings here. But the downside of this potential strategy is, as we've noted, Berndt could hit and roll under the center, and then Hurst is going to be chasing to try and get one out of the situation. So again, looking for the hit and roll as Austin Berndt makes his way down the sheet to the hack. Just another view of that house there. I think asks for a slightly less eyes. Looked for hit and roll. Lane looks a little inside. I think Hernandez is going to jump on it to try and push it over. Actually, the lead that jumps on to fight the curl, but now Hernandez jumps in as well. Looks pretty good, actually. It's going to hit and roll, but just stay exposed. So now Hurst has two stones. They're sitting second shot as that blue burnt stone is shot. I would think doing the hit and roll now would be a good possible outcome, and that seems to be what they're set up for. Looking for a hit and roll, and it's kind of tricky, especially when you're a newer curler, to try and find the right amount of roll there. It's kind of bizarre. So it's going to hit. Is it going to roll there much? No, it stays pretty much in place. So they needed at least 2 more inches of curl. So Hurst is sitting two, so Berndt definitely does need to make a play on it. Uh, I've been saying this a lot this weekend, but I do see a possible double. It'd be not a too bad of a double. There's enough distance to hit the yellow onto yellow and get them both moving out of the house. Uh, don't exactly know if they're taking that on. I think they're going to try the hit and roll, which is the opposite side of the rock to try and do the double. So you can only do one. And I think they're trying to hit and roll. 'Taking a moment to reset. It's really important to get mentally prepared to deliver your shot, as Austin Berndt appeared to do. His shot's underway, looking for a hit and roll. Hernandez is trying to hold the line, needs to make sure it doesn't over curl and over roll. And actually, this could be a bit of a problem. It might be curling into the guards, and it does seem to be that the outcome. It does promote the blue towards the house, but not enough. And so now, just like that, Hurst was sitting two, and now they have a chance, a draw, to touch any part of the house for a third point. So Gilbert had the broom down. I imagine Hurst didn't take a lot of time getting set in the hat. He is ready now. Here we go. Last shot, third, and a draw for three. Sweepers are on it. Needs to make sure it gets there. They have 12 feet of the house to play with. So they definitely just don't need to be light, especially because they had some backing to play with. Looks pretty close to being there. I'm going to say it is there. It's good for three. And we are all square here after three ends at the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns. We'll be back in just a moment. Or a Mo, as some people say. Welcome back to the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club, where we are in the middle of pool play for the men and round robin play for the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns. We're going to do a quick look around the rings before we return to our feature sheet. On sheet one, Team Barbary is continuing to put their foot on the gas with the Red Rocks against Team Suarez of San Diego. It's currently 7-0 in the fourth end, although it does look like Suarez is sitting one right now. Uh, ooh, we just can see there that they tried to, Barbary tried to draw around the pile. They crashed on the guard, but they were able to roll into the top edge of the house on the left side. So it's still Suarez sitting one, but Barbary is putting some rocks in play. Sheet two is our feature game between teams Berndt and Hurst. Hurst was down 3-0, but responded with a three spot in the third, or in the fourth, pardon me. I was wrong on the end count, but it is a tie game at halfway through. Sheet three is a women's game between Team Feldman of Wine Country with the Red Rocks taking on Team Leichter of Orange County. Leichter was down 6-0, but responded with a deuce in the third. And then Feldman answered with a deuce of their own in the fourth, and it now appears to be 8-2 in favor of Feldman. Sheet four is a men's game between Team Waddington of Orange County taking on Team Clapham of San Diego. Wadman of Orange County taking on Clapham of San Diego. This is a hard-fought game so far, trading singles back and forth. It's Clapham that was most recently scoring the single, so they are up 2-1 over Waddington. Clapham is playing Yellow Rocks and appears to be shot. here in the fourth. Sheet 5 is a women's game between Team Assis of Silicon Valley taking on Team Malia of Wine Country. Assis scored a cricket number of 5 with hammer in the second end, and they responded with a triple steal in the third. It's 8-2, and it also looks like Malia put up another deuce in the fourth, so it's actually 8-4 in the fifth end. Again, all these scores are on bondspieler.com. Taking a look at our feature sheet game, Berndt is sitting one in the house with the hammer in the fifth end. The shot from Gerard Trimberger's away. I think they were looking to draw on top of the blue that's in the house. Needs to curl over. It's not going to curl over enough and actually go out of play. So a missed chance, and I think Berndt was looking to put another rock in on that path on the right. I would think about possibly splitting the rings. That's kind of what worked out for Hurst in that last end. But we will see what Hernandez has on tap with his next rock here, his last. I don't think Hernandez was happy with the shots. Just a little head shake there. Weight looks a little up. And also if it sits down right here, it could set up a possible double for Hurst to take on. Uh, it turned out to a corner freeze. So I don't think Hurst get rid of both rocks very easily. So it looks like I think they're going to try and move at least one of the blues out of the play. Was Gerard's last. It looks like it's going to wreck actually. So I think they may be looking for plan B to maybe roll under. Well, it's going to roll past the guard. It's going to roll open on the left side, and it's going to roll to really deep, and it's sitting third shot right now. It does open up that pair of blues, or the path to the pair of blues on the right here from this view. But I think they're going to try the same shot. Uh, Team Berndt is. Just gives Hernandez another chance to make a very similar shot to the one he just made. This one's really diving to the right. It's really curling a bunch. It's going to get over the hog line though, and I think it is going to get into the path of those blues. So I think a pretty good outcome. Gilbert makes his way down the ice. So Ramin took up the sport of curling in 2022, although he had been in Utah since 2006. So that's a one, two, three, four, at least 4 Olympics he had been in Utah for. I say four, it could be three. Um, but for reasons completely unbeknownst to him, did not actually take up the sport of curling until 2022. He spends most of his time parenting 3 kids, showing them where to sweep, pointing them in the right direction, and breaking up fights over whose turn it is to throw. After leaving the ice, he goes home to 3 more kids, aged 9, 7, and 5, who are much better behaved and are less exhausting. In his free time, he enjoys doing literally anything that doesn't involve kids, such as golf, hiking, and traveling far away. So Gilbert was able to tick the guard over to the side and keep open that path to those blues that are sitting two right now for Team Berndt. Alan Berndt gets set in the hack, and here we go. Looking for another draw guard. This is weight's pretty good, but I don't know if the line is going to quite work. Hernandez is trying to coach it over. I say Hernandez, no, it was the lead. That would be Hal Brown. So those blues are open in the house, and it's open in a really good way for Hurst to take those on because it's open on the outside. So if you look at where he has the broom, they want to hit it. Ooh, this is tricky. I think if they hit that first rock that's closest to the center, like dead on, maybe just a little to the right, it's going to get both of those rocks moving. And then the shooter might roll out, but a blank wouldn't be too bad. It's still halfway through the game, although I think the blank would benefit Berndt more than Hurst at this point. So St. James has the broom down for Ramin. Ramin was talking over the shot with the sweepers. Looking for a double here, looking to make some granite fly. I don't know if they're happy with the line. That's pretty close. Needs to come over just a little bit more. It's one of the blues out, and then the shooter rolls in front of the other blue to be shot rocked. So not a bad outcome. Not a double, but not bad. And definitely makes Berndt have to play to it. So I think they're going to try and chip out that yellow, hit it on the left side. So they want to make sure it crosses the face there. This is Allen's last here, and I think it's pretty close. It might overcurl. It looks like there it goes. It broke like just a couple feet ago. It's going to roll into the guard and roll into the gap. So I would say not a great outcome, unfortunately, for Team Berndt. This definitely gives the opportunity or the advantage over to Hurst. Um, remember what I said a couple ends ago about if you don't have the hammer, you want to control the center of the house, the front and the center, so that the other team has a hard time drawing for one. So I would maybe try and block the draw path on the right side, the bottom side here, um, just to narrow the scoring area even more than it is already. But I think they're going to try and draw through the ports. Maybe not a bad call, just because the play has been drawn to that side of the house, and you don't necessarily want to show the other team the path to the button. As we get the dramatic over the shoulder view, sweepers are on it. It's possibly It's going to be lights, but they're looking for a guard or top of the house. It's if they keep going, I think they want to touch paint if they can. I don't know if it's going to touch paint. It's going to park itself about 6 inches in front of the house. So pretty good outcome for Hurst. It definitely blocks off that path, and I think it does force Berndt to maybe look to play the other side of the sheets, or they could try and take on a possible run back. There's that blue that's on the center line, and they can maybe tap that back for a shot. And I think those are the shots to either tap the blue back or to draw. And if they go for the draw now, um, they can have two tracks to try and get the shot in, and then they would have a backup of doing the run back for their last. So they have the broom positioned in a way that's set up for a draw or a guard, but they're going to need to make contact with one of the rocks. Because I don't think they're putting up a guard. I think they're going to go for the tap back. Maybe. So I think looking for the tap back. That's my prediction. And again, as I say during previous games that were not broadcast in terms of the commentary, uh, I said, but you guys were not able to hear that the people on the ice are seeing things that we may not be seeing. So their call may not be something that I would think of or that I might question. But again, like they're playing the game, we're not. It's just kind of fun to think about the possibilities and what might be happening. And what's happening here with Austin Berndt first is that it is curling up. It is going to make contact, but it's not enough weight to push the blue into the house. Pardon me, but it opened it up, which I guess made sense. I don't think they were doing a full tap back just based on the amount of broom and the weight they took. But now it opens up the port again for the draw, and now they can do the same shot that Hurst just threw, just a little bit more weight, and then be sitting, top 12, binding the 8 foot. If they're full 8 foot, that would be pretty solid. So I think Ramirez got the broom down for David to go through that port again one more time. Here is David Hurst's last here in the fifth without hammer. Weight looks pretty good. The curl looks pretty good. Need to make sure it stays, doesn't over curl. Sweepers are on it. Need to make sure they're trying to carry it. It's gonna wreck on the blue. Not a bad outcome. It closes the door, and now there's only really one shot for Berndt to take. I think all they need to do is draw and get a piece of the 4 foot for a single. They're not looking at it though. I don't know if they are not confident with that path on the bottom side or the right side from this angle. Um, and again, they're seeing things that we might not be seeing. But here's the over the shoulder view, and it like just draw on the right side. You're looking at 2.5 feet of curl. I guess they might be worried that it would over curl into the guards before it would have a chance to come back. Um, they were also, I think, maybe looking to. Okay, so they did go for the draw. I think they were looking for possible alternatives, and they decided to go for the draw. What they could have been looking for, I don't think it was there. I don't think that. I was thinking they could have been looking to maybe spill or split that blue that's in the top guard zone, to both in the house to possibly get two out of it. But the The blue would not roll deep enough to outcount that yellow that's in the solid 8 foot in the back of the house. So they're going for a draw. Not a bad call. As Austin Berndt gets set in the hack. He's got a pretty extensive curling record over his 9 years of curling, including being at the MoPac 5 and under, winning it in 2015, playing second, and then being a event runner up at the Hotter Than Hell Bonspiel this year at Coyotes as a skip. So his last rock is underway. A draw for one. Needs to make sure it comes back. This is hanging out and it's light. Is it going to get back in time? And unfortunately, no. So that is going to be a steal of one for Hurst. So very interesting game developing here between Hurst and Berndt. Hurst is up one. It's a 4-3 game, and we'll be back in just a moment when we return to the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club. Welcome back to our coverage of the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns. We're about halfway through the sixth end. Team Hurst has come back from being three down to have a 1 point advantage over Team Berndt. We're going to rejoin our feature sheet in just a moment, but I want to look back at our other games on the ice. And all these games are being tracked on bondspieler.com. On sheet one, we have Team Barbary taking a 7-3 lead over Team Suarez of San Diego. Sheet three is Feldman of Wine Country up 8-3 over Team Leichter of Orange County. Leichter is with the Yellow Rocks. On sheet four, we have Team Waddington Red Rocks out of Orange County up 3-1 over Team Clapham of San Diego. And then on sheet five, we have Team Assis of Silicon Valley with the Blue Rocks up 8-5 over Team Malia over Wine Country. So let's see what the action is on our feature sheet. Lots of rocks in play. And we let's see two Hurst stones sitting in the center, like not in the center, but they're out counting any burnt stones. As Gilbert throws, I believe, his first rock at the end. Yep. I think they're looking to hard. Well, I think they're going to try and draw around. This is going to be a bit of a possible miss. Not a bad outcome. Let's look at the Manitoba Mutton Manufacturers Button Cam. Again, this is not sponsored by the Manitoba Mutton Manufacturers of America, but we have a button cam, and I'll get the correct button. Here we go. So Hurst is sitting 1 and 2, and Berndt is sitting 3 and 4. So, first shot coming from Alan Berndt, who's been curling for 8 years. I think looking to move some granite here, get one of the Hurst stones to go away. And I think mission accomplished. That blue rolls onto the other blue. And Hurst is still shot, but Berndt is 2, 3, and 4. So I think they're going to try to promote the yellow that's in the top 12 area in the guard zone. Sweepers jumped on it early. Sweepers jumped on it early. Ha. Sweepers jumped on it early, able to make contact on the blue. To get rid of one of the blue rods as the shooter rolled to the wing there. And it does help out Hurst a great deal as they're now sitting two, buried very much undercover on both stones. Uh, Berndt is now 3 and 4. I think they're going to try and run that blue back onto the yellow. It's going to be interesting to see where they position the broom. Okay, great. They did move the broom up to the rock they want to make contact with first. That's kind of skipping 102 should I say, it's not something they teach the very first day, but it's definitely taught the first week of skipping. Looking for a pretty straight run bat, blue onto yellow to be shot. This is Alan Burns' second shot. It needs to make sure it doesn't over curl. It's over curling. Try to save something here, and they do save a bit. Some acknowledgement from the rest of the team as the blue hits the other blue on the outside, but it was able to kick it into the house where it jammed on the yellow and kicked that yellow out of the house. So once again, Hurst is sitting one, and Berndt is sitting everything else. Two and three, maybe four on the very fringe of the top of the house. Might have to come down to a biter bar measure. And so it looks like Hurst is going to draw to guard that shot stone. I guess it also might be a factor of how aggressive they want to be. Because they could draw into the house, but it could set up a double. They could try and freeze, but they could like maybe crash on their own stone. There's some ups and downs to both possibilities. I think lights the miss though, regardless of the shot. But they need to make sure it's on the right line. Jerry's really trying to push it over. It does finally break, but I don't know if it's going to get there. And so I think at this point, maybe looking for a plan B to be in the top of the house to at least maybe score, but it's not going to get to the top of the house. Not going to get there, and that yellow is pretty wide open. So I think Burns is going to chip that out. Maybe I was thinking about possibly hitting and rolling, but they don't want to jam that yellow onto the blue in the back there as they look over their options. So Austin Berndt has the call. I think they're going to try and hit and roll to the wing a little bit. It could possibly set up a save for Hurst. We'll have to see how it goes as Austin gets set in the hat here. Looks like Austin Berndt was at this year's SOB Bonspiel in Idaho, Stanley to be precise. It's in the Sawtooth Mountains. It's a very beautiful place. I hear it's very cold when they do this outdoor bonspiel every year, called the Sawtooth Outdoor Bonspiel, or SOB. Get it? You dig? Using that hep slang that all you young cats out there love. Looking for a hit and roll. They don't want to have a wreck on the yellow, and it looks like it will. It does wreck on the yellow, but doesn't do a ton of damage, and it does succeed in putting another blue into the house. So not a bad outcome. Perhaps maybe mark that as a 2 out of 4, perhaps if I was keeping track. So that is a very lonely yellow, and so I think they're looking to try and put another yellow in the house, being content to kind of force Berndt to a single point here in the sixth end of possible 8 ends of regulation. So I think they're looking it over. They don't want to set up a double. I would just draw. They want to try and keep it high, and they're looking at a possible miss So if it overcurls into the guard, they can maybe raise the guard, but they don't want to wreck on the guard, honestly, because they would have to wreck with enough weight to promote it to second shot, which would be a bite of the 8 foot, not the hardest raise in the world, but when you're throwing draw weight to find the right way to wreck is tricky, I would think. So the broom is down for David Hurst's last. Pretty interesting draw here. I think they're trying to err being tight just based on where Gilbert has the broom. Again, we're seeing about 2 to 2.5 feet of curl this weekend, although some stones can tend to dive a bit more. So I think they might be looking to possibly raise. I think they're looking for the raise. Just based on the weight that he just threw, it looks like heavy hack to back eight. Uh, Trim birders on it to try and hold it straight. This is going to be pretty important. They has to get there, or else Burns is going to take out that Hurst stone for a bundle. And this looks to be right on the money. Mission accomplished. Really good shot there. I'm not going to say that I doubted them, but I definitely had some concerns about if they missed, which is not a bad way of thinking through shots. You kind of think about what you're looking for, what you're leaving the other team, and what the worst could happen if you miss. So I was thinking about the worst outcome, but they had pretty close to the best outcome. So great shot there from David Hurst. And so now it's going to force Berndt to a single, a pretty straightforward nose hit for one. But that's going to be pretty much the most that Austin Burns is going to be able to get out of this. He threw up his arm, so I think they're a little skeptical about what if it's there or not. Oh, it's over curling. This could raise a third rock into the house. It does. Just the worst possible outcome. Austin is not very happy about that shot, as it does allow Hurst to steal three. So very quickly, the tempo and tenor of this game has turned as Hurst was able to start the scoring with what for his team with the three spot to tie it up in the fourth, and since then it's been all team Hurst. So very interesting outcome. We'll see what Berndt has to do to respond here in the seventh end coming up in just a moment when we return to Oakland, California. Welcome back to the 2023 MoPac Arena Playdowns. We're going to take a quick trip around the rings. Sheet one, again, is a messy house between Team Barbary of Wine Country playing with the Redstones. They're sitting two currently against Team Suarez. Barbary is in pretty strong command of this game, up 9-3. Sheet two is our feature game between Team Berndt and Team Hurst. Team Hurst stole three to jump ahead 7-3 in this game. Sheet three is a women's game between Team Feldman of Wine Country taking on Team Lecter of Orange County. Feldman is up 8-3 currently. Sheet four is a men's game between Team Waddington of Orange County and Team Clapham of San Diego with the yellow rocks. They are all square after five. About to finish their sixth end there, it looks like. On sheet five is a women's game between Team Assis of Silicon Valley taking on Team Malia of Wine Country. And Assis with the Blue Rocks is up 8-5. So that brings you up to date on the action. And once again, all live scores are on bondspieler.com. Call your mom and go to bondspieler.com. Mom and .com rhyme, apparently. So returning now to our feature sheet. Rocks in play were underway. It looks like that both Hurst and Berndt have stones in the house. I think Hurst is shot in the back 8-12 area as we see Gerard Trimberger throw his first stone of the end. Berndt has hammer and work to do. So it looks like Hurst is actually going to tap up their yellow into the house. Interesting. So yes, it is Hurst sitting one with Berndt the second shot in the 12-foot area. The shot that Hurst just made kind of moved the rocks around, but the yellow stone in the back is pretty open as, as David Hernandez. I wanted to do David's first name right. As David Hernandez makes his first throw at the end. This is going to go through the ports and settle probably. I'll try and get a couple extra inches out of that. And solid shot from David Hernandez. It is shot full 8 foot. So I think Gerard is going to maybe draw into that blue to move it to the side. I think he may have pushed it out a little bit. So maybe looking for a plan B. It's curling up pretty well though. Trying to coach it over a little bit for a piece. Ah, they needed another 2 to 3 inches of curl there. So now the ball is in Berndt's court. They could put a blue in front of that yellow, use it as a backstop. Um, they could also clear that yellow that's in the center just to kind of open things up. But that would kind of encourage, um, I think, Hurst to put up. I don't think they would put up another guard, but they're kind of looking over their options here. As Alan Berndt comes down the vise to talk with Austin. They might be looking to maybe kind of split the blue a little further into the house and then roll under the cover. They could hit out that yellow that's in the back, that's in front of Austin or behind Austin. Curious to see what they're looking at. I think they're looking at drawing in front of the yellow. You don't want to set up a double. I think Berndt is really looking to tap that blue back and then roll under cover to be sitting two, which looks to be a good outcome. It does set up a possibility for Hurst to run that yellow that's in the top center into the blue into the house. Um, Definitely is going to be make it a challenge for Byrne to score multiple points. But the decision's made as Allen makes his way back down to the house. David gets set in the hack. I think looking to draw. They don't want to guard, although lights to miss, I would think. Byrne's sitting shot, but it's dangerous. Heard them yelling for line. Looks pretty good. Just a little bit of tap action, taption. Uh, Hurst could try the double to take it on. That's actually what Jerry St. James has asked for Ramin to do. Ramin is making his way back down to the house, or the hack, pardon me. Looking to try and double those blues out. If they can make it, that would really kind of help swing the pendulum back towards Hurst. Looking for two. Hurst jumps on that stone, trying to hold the line. It's going to be super important to make sure it hits the right place. Looks pretty good. Is it going to there? We got one. The blue that started first jammed and rolled towards the button. So not a bad outcome. It definitely reduces Berndt to one. That right side or the top side is open though. So Berndt could put a stone, let's say like full 8 foot. Actually, they could split the rings. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but if they split the rings and put one kind of where the this is, that would make it hard to get a double. They'd be sitting two, and then they would be set up to score at least two in this end. As Alan Byrne's shot is away. So the draw looks to be really good. The double's not there. However, Hurst could hit and roll towards the button, and then Berndt really wouldn't be able to get it out. They're looking at maybe possibly corner freezing on top. I don't know if you really want to give up two to Berndt in this case. You do have a 4 point lead, so you can be a little bit more adventurous in your play call. So David Hurst comes down to offer his advice as the skip or the fourth. I think hitting that blue that they're kind of gesturing towards is the best call because you get rid of at least one of the blue counters. The corner freeze on the shot stone on the button doesn't really accomplish much, and it's tricky to get to. So you might wreck on the yellow guard, and then Berndt in the position to score three. I think you really want to cut down the possibility for Berndt to score multiple points. Decisions made. Let's see where they put the broom. So I think they're going to try and hit. Okay, so they moved the broom to put it to the outside of that outside blue. I think they're going to make the play on that blue, try it and roll under the shot stone, and really force Berndt to hopefully just one if you're a Hurst fan or Hurstiac as they're known, or a Hurstian. I don't know. If you have a name for the Hurst fan club or the Berndt fan clubs, be sure to let us know. Oh, this wrecked on the guard. Oh man, so the door is open for Berndt to really get back into this game. They're sitting two, have a chance for multiple points here. So they're looking at a guard, but I just it depends on how aggressive you want to be to try and get multiple points. It looks like they've got the guard dialed up. So Allen's set in the hat, I think looking for a guard. This looks pretty good. I think they wanted to keep it high to prevent Hurst from trying to do a double. But I think if they allowed it to go into the 8 foot, they'd be sitting three, and then really have Hurst chasing to really avoid giving up a crooked number to Berndt and let Berndt back into this game. So Team Hurst is doing a group confab as they talked about it. Decisions made. So decisions made. David Hurst is getting set in the hat, waiting to see what broom Ramin has for his skip. And it looks like they're going to try and blow up the guards. Makes sense with Hurst having 2 shots to go. Just really try and create a path so they can save something out of this end. Wade looks a little light. It is light. They were trying to draw through the port perhaps or do a wick. Oh, they got the wick. Oh my goodness. I'll be right back. I'm trying. Okay, we're back. uh, it's been an interesting situation. I dropped something into a speaker, and I need to unscrew the speaker to extract what I lost. So we've been having fun on and off the ice. So Hurst's first stone, I think they were trying to draw through the port. It wicked off of a blue in the house and kind of rolled to the back where it's not really a factor in this end. Uh, Berndt is very much in control of this end. Sitting two, a chance to pile in a couple more. If they get one more, they draw within one. If they get two more for a total of four, they draw even and would be tied in the last end, which is something that's becoming a bit of a tradition of sorts for this team. They were tied in the last end last night and were able to make a miracle shot with their last, with Austin Berndt last. So if you have a chance to go onto the YouTube to watch that, I would strongly recommend it. Speaking of Austin Berndt, he's in the hat, ready for his first shot. Well, he takes a pause real quick to reset. There's a lot on the line here. I think they want to tap up the blue that is in the guard zone towards the 8 foot to sit three. So really kind of a shot to sit three and have a strong possibility for four. Burns is not happy with the outcome. Not too bad though. I say not too bad. It unlocks some of the staggered guards that was in front of the house. So that is a minor disaster for Burns because now uh, the first thing that Hurst and Ramin are looking at, David and Ramin are looking at, is running that yellow that's in the guard zone back to the button and cut down the scoring angles. There's also a situation where if it doesn't go back to the blue that's on the button, but the blue that's kind of on the top from this view, um, I think it would prevent them from possibly giving up two. But you don't want to give up three or four in this situation. I think four is off the table, but you don't want to give up three. Pretty interesting situation here. I hope you guys are having a great time. We have two more games after this as we wrap up pool play and start the. There might be a men's tiebreaker if it comes to it. There's the possibility for one men's tiebreaker tonight in our late game at 8:30. But the broom's down as David Hurst makes his way back to the house. I think they're going to try to run the yellow onto blue. Again, a very precise shot. This is David Hurst's last, up four, but possibly giving up a steal of two or more. Jerry and Gerard are sweeping on it. It's over, curling. Are they going through the port? There's no port there. Oh my goodness. Not the shot they wanted to make, but you could also say it could be worse. So this is definitely a two birds in hand, and which bush is Berndt going to go into to try and find that third birdstone, as it were. Um, there's a port. They only need to get to full 8 foot. I say there's a port. They would have to throw it really tight to the yellow center guards and then not hit the blue that's in the 12 foot. But it's possibly there, especially because you're only seeing 2.5 feet of curl. Now they're looking at the top end or the right from this view. Again, they only need to full 8 foot, and so that does look to be the best path. It's the simplest path, and also the path least likely to lead into an error. Like what could go wrong situation? They could hit the blue onto yellow, but that yellow is not going to be pushed into a scoring position as far as I can tell. So this is a good bounce back shot here for Burns, a good bounce back end. Looking to draw for three, two in hand. Will the third be added to the board? Shots away. The weight looks pretty good, especially for throwing to the wings. Really calling hard. It looks pretty good. They need to make sure it has the distance. The line is there. It looks really good. Needs to make sure it finishes, and it finishes really close to the tee line for that third. What a great end. What a great draw there by Austin Berndt. Like I said, a very good bounce back end for Berndt to bring the game within one. It's going to be Hurst 7, Berndt 6 when we return for the eighth and possible last end of regulation. Well, it is the last end of regulation. There could be a bonus end. We'll revisit that in just a moment when we come back to San Francisco/Oakland. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2023 MoPac Men's and Women's Arena Playdowns, coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club. It is the eighth and final end of our feature game, but before we revisit that, I wanted to update you guys on all the scores on the other sheets. All these scores are posted on bondspieler.com. On sheet one, the game between Team Barbary of One Country with the Red Rocks taking on Team Suarez of San Diego. Barbary's up 11-3. Sheet three wrapped up early with Team Fellman of Wine Country taking a 12-4 win over Team Leichter of Orange County. Sheet four is a men's game between Team Waddington of Orange County, up 5-3 over Team Clapham of San Diego. Waddington's with the Red Rocks. Sheet five is the game between Team Assis of Silicon Valley, up 10-5 over Team Malia of Wine Country. And again, all those scores are posted on bondspieler.com. You can't beat a bond unless you want a spieler. I know that makes no sense. I hope you guys are enjoying this game. It has turned into a barn burner. Uh, Hurst was able to kind of take a pretty commanding lead, but Berndt was able to claw most of that back. Hurst was able to take the lead, but Berndt was able to claw that back, and now Hurst has a 1 point lead with the hammer in this eighth end, this pivotal eighth end, as we watch the rocks go by. Do, 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 do. So Hurst can't clear that center guard until the sixth rock at the end. So I think they're just putting a rock in. I think trying to draw play into the house. Berndt needs to steal to keep the game alive. If they steal one, it's a tie. We go to an extra end. If they steal two, it's game over with them winning. If we go to an extra end, it's obviously the next team that scores wins. However, if there's a blank at the end of that, we just go to skip stones, just because we do need to clear the ice at some point. This looks to be a little up in terms of weight. Sweepers are just escorting it down, and I'm sure Ramin Gilbert was going to escort that stone from the premises. So a bit of a missed opportunity, and now the five rock rule is over. The no tick rule is over, and so Ramin wants to bid that blue burnt stone adieu. Adios, Stony, Stony McStonerson. Jerry St. James is sweeping. Going to make contact on that blue guard, and thankfully he does not run back onto those yellows. So you see that blue clocked in the background. It just ticked down to zero. That means that the time that we've preferred for this draw is over. However, teams are allowed to complete their games. They are not. We're not timing these games just for various reasons. David Hernandez's stones away, looking to put up a guard. I think that's an interesting situation. So now it's going to be kind of a hitting battle back and forth until Berndt decides to go into the house to try and steal one. And they're setting up to steal one, I think, just based on how they're playing this at this point. Gerard Trimberger gets set in the hat. And I said this during the early game featuring Team Hurst, but apparently my sound wasn't on. So I wanted to note that the Team Hurst noted that their family and friends were watching and they wanted to pass along their greetings, saying thanks for tuning in. So wanted to make sure that was done. I also appreciate people tuning in for this event. I also appreciate people being able to hear what I'm saying, and so I'm not streaming into the metaphorical ether, as it were, or metaphorical void. So that peel was successful. The shooter rolls to the wing, where it's not going to be able to provide much cover if they decided to play that way. Allen Berndt gets set in the hat again, looking for another draw, perhaps another guard. Shots away. Let's see where it ends up. This is going to be a guard or top of the house. It's shaping to be a two guard, it looks like. And with Hurst up one, they just want to minimize the chances of Berndt scoring one or two and taking this game away from Team Hurst. This is an interesting situation. Uh, we are in pool play. We have two groups of five in for the men. And Burns was undefeated going into this game, and Team Hurst had just suffered their first loss this morning against Team Lazarowicz. So if this holds, which is not for certain, it's still very much a very close game, the appeal is successful. So Hurst would be up 3-1, wrapping up their pool play, and Burnt would be at 2-1. And then we have other teams at 1-2. There's a kind of a traffic jam towards the lower part of the pool. However, if one of the teams was able to get a second win, uh, finding a team that's going to be like, if there's going to be a log jam at 2-2 as a possibility. But really, Hurst, Hurst and Burnt are both in their respective driver's seats in pool play here. Uh, Hurst with a win, I think, would secure the top, at least a tie for the top spot. And then Burns is in control, where if they win, they're in for that second playoff spot. And then if they were to drop the last game against Malloret, then it gets interesting, as the kids say. In the men's Group A, we have Cameron Spangler at 3-0. The other team, Cameron from Wine Country at 2-1, and then we have Waddington at 1-1. With Clapham at 1-2, and Norris at 0-3. So there's still a lot of teams in the hunt in both pools. Looking at the women's round robin, we have Team Assis at 4-0, followed by Team Fellman at 3-1, and then we have a couple teams at 2-2, and then we have Team Barbary and Suarez following at the rear. So the play did slip into the house here. Looks like Ramin Gilbert wants to hit that blue out of the way. If the shooter rolls out of play, that's fine. Ooh, there we go. You guys can see what's going on. So mission accomplished, and now Team Hurst is sitting two with the hammer. So now Burns is going into the house. They want to, I think, draw behind those two yellows or draw to. I think they want to draw to the yellow that's on the tee line. I don't know if it's there. I don't know if that's exactly what they're trying to do, but I think that's what they're trying to accomplish is find some cover to hide behind with one of their shots. They're coming back down to take another look at it, so they're reevaluating. I think that's what they were looking at. just based on where Alan had the broom was to try and tuck it behind. They don't want to be open. Oh, they're looking at putting it right on the pin. I'm curious about what they're thinking with this. I mean, they put one on the pin. I think they're kind of really banking on Hurst making a miss at some point. I think if they put it, they were kind of pointing to the top yellow, but like a corner freeze doesn't do much. I mean, that could be a good if you miss, maybe a plan B, but tucking behind, I think does accomplish a lot. So even if it goes like a little deep, if it's still out counting those two yellows, it creates a possibility. So the decision's made as Skip and the rest of the team moves back to the house, just based on where they have the broom. I think they're maybe trying to split the difference almost. This is a very interesting setup here. Because remember, we've seen the stones curl at about 2 to 3 feet, 2.5 to 3 feet. So based on that broom, it's going to maybe end up on the left edge of the forefoot, unless it sees a lot of curl. It is curling a lot more than I was thinking. So this could have been the right broom. They may have seen something that I didn't, which is not uncommon. It's coming up a little light and it's over curling. Oh goodness. So if you're Hurst, you're sitting two up one with the hammer. Is there any place you can put that rock that is not going to provide some sort of advantage for Berndt? I mean, you could maybe clear the blue so that there's no way to spill that blue into score two. So now I think that the two is off the table as Team Hurst gathers to talk about it. Trying to see what the best angle is here. The Manitoba Mutton Association of America's button camera is probably the best. Time for talking's over. Don't quite know where they're going to put the broom for this. Yeah, I'm curious about what they're going to do. I would try to maybe throw it away or see here, it's shots away and they're throwing it away. A pretty sound call. I mean, there could be some ways to improve the situation, but you could provide cover for Berndt to hide behind. Although, again, you're kind of forcing Berndt to make the same shot twice. They need to be sitting shot after this. Um, and then also any potential covers to the wings. And so Hurst could just throw a draw for that single point. And if they miss, they just draw and they go to that extra end. Pretty interesting situation here. I don't know if anyone at home has any thoughts about the possible shot to take. Austin Hurst, not Hurst, Austin Berndt. I apologize. Makes his way back down the ice. The front end does a little cleaning of the line to make sure that there's no debris on the ice. As longtime curlers know, that it's really easy for a piece of hair or a lint or a cinnamon bear, perhaps, getting on the ice and just causing the stone to like run into it and go askew, or hit the brakes and just like slam to a stop in the middle of the sheet. Although I've not seen a cinnamon bear cause that. Food on the ice is frowned upon. Although I can imagine someone like eating nerds and having a nerd fall into the ice, which would be bad. This last shot from Austin Berndt is away. The weight looks to be pretty good. Sweepers are not laying a broom on it. This is going to be heavy, maybe. Ramin's on it, sweeping it, and it's going to escort it to the back of the 12-foot, and that is handshakes as Hurst scores two to secure the win and to secure a spot in the playoffs. Regardless of how the last draw turns out, Hurst is going to be either one or two in the group and advance to a chance to the finals, a chance to go to the finals, and a chance to secure a berth to Arena Nationals. So a very solid game from both teams, but it was Team Hurst to pull out the win. Some arms up. So the scoring two is official because Hurst did throw their last stone, making it not necessary to throw Hurst to throw his last, but the game is final with the score 9-6. I'm fairly certain. Although our head ice official is also on the ice to confirm that. While they clean up the stones, let's take a trip around the rings. Grab your passports, ladies and gentlemen, because that's something that we do. So there's only one game left on the ice. That is on sheet four. It is tied 5-all between Waddington and Clapham. So let's take a look over there and see what's going on. Okay, they're done. So Waddington was able to score with a hammer, just a single point for the win, and that wraps things up pretty nicely. I'm happy about that. So just to recap the rounds, sheet one was Team Barbary of one country over Team Suarez of San Diego. Our feature sheet game between Team Berndt and Hurst was Hurst 7 or 9, pardon me, over Berndt. Sheet three was Feldman of one country over Team Leichter of Orange County after 7. After 7. Sheet four was Waddington 6, Clapham of San Diego 5. And then Team Assis of Silicon Valley won the Sheet 5 game over Team Malia of Wine Country 10-6. So that will do it for this draw. We have two more games on tap tonight and two more on Sunday. So we hope you'll stay with us. Coming up tonight at 5 o'clock, we'll feature Team Norris versus Waddington on our feature sheet. And then on sheet 2 at 8:30, the late game will feature the last game of women's round robin as Team Malia takes on Team Leichter. That's coming up tonight on our YouTube channel. So for all of us here at MoPac and the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club, this has been your host Ryan saying thank you so much for tuning in. Good curling, and we'll see you later tonight.